Alright, so we're going to start working on the arm portion. At this point, you should have at least made the guard, and you could have skipped ahead and did the other ones, but we're going to focus on making this portion right now. So you need to go into Inventor, create a new part file, and I'm using an older version right now instead of the 2017 that you'll have access to at school. So this one, pretty much everything's in the same spot. My background and stuff might look a little bit different. So load up a new part file, start your sketch, again choose your XY plane, and then we are going to go ahead and start here. I mentioned earlier that the dimension does say 0.25 here, and then on this one it says 0.230. That is not an error. One side is going to be smaller than the other. So we're going to draw this side first, starting from the center point. So we've got a line going over 0.8, and then we've got a line that goes down 0.25, and then a line going over 0.860 with a 120 degree angle. So we'll do this piece by piece. So we've got a line goes over 0.8, a line that goes down, and I'll adjust that in a minute. And then I think the second one was 0.860. And I'm going to tab back out just to double check 0.860. And then I'm going to use my dimension tool to make sure that this line is 0.25 and that the angle from here to here is set to 120 like it is right here. So I've set that to 120, and it will make those adjustments for me. So everything on this side is in good shape. Next we're going to go to this one. We're going to draw the other side of this, and you'll notice that again from the center point this side goes over 0.8 and 0.860, and again this one does the exact same thing. You could almost get away with mirroring this and then just making an adjustment on this line, but I'm going to go ahead and just draw it. You can try to mirror it if you want to, and then after you mirror it you can make the adjustment to that one line. I'm going to line it up with this one. This one goes over 0.86, and if you accidentally put it at an angle like I did, just undo it and redo the line. So again, 0.86, hit enter. Double check the dimension from here to here. It should be at 0.25, so that one's good. And we'll just leave it there. And then we just need to adjust the dimension of this to this, which should be 120. And then the last thing that we need to do, since we have that 0.250 in place, we're going to go back, and I had lined it up with the other one. This is what would happen if you mirrored it. I'm now going to make an adjustment to that so that it's 0.230. So I'll click here, 230, hit enter, and it will slightly adjust that line. So they're a little bit offset from each other now, not exactly the same height. Next thing that it wants us to do is offset the entire drawing, and we're going to offset in the upward direction, or going up the axis. So we're going to go 0.048, and then we're going to cap off the ends of it. So again, offset, it should select everything, 0.048. Same thing that they have here, it's really small. And then we're going to cap off the ends. So again, use the line tool, zoom in, make sure you're getting green dot to green dot, so that way you can actually extrude the shapes. And the next portion is going to have us extrude it 0.25 both ways so that it's centered. Make sure that you look very carefully at this. They have 0.5 in here, that's correct, so that it goes 0.25 this way and then 0.25 that direction. So we're going to hit finish sketch, go ahead and start the extrusion, center using the symmetric one, and then 0.5. If you put 0.25, it'll be way too skinny, and you'll notice some issues later on when you're working on this. So we have that portion set. Now it wants us to use the 3D fillet and set that to 0.075, and it wants us to hit the 8 edges. So it looks more bent like some of the other parts. The 8 edges are the corners that you're going to see right here on the top, and the ones that are directly below it going across. So set the fillet. They give us a 0.075 measurement, so we're going to set this to 0.075. Don't have to change anything. And then I'm going to start with this one, hit that one, this edge right here. There's an edge right here. If you have to rotate to see it, that's fine. I'm going to hit this corner, rotate so I can see this one, this edge right here, and then one more edge right here, and just make sure it lines up so you actually hit it, and then just hit OK. So you now have rounded edges on those that portion. So it should look like this picture right here. It's pretty close. The only thing that mine has are the detail lines. If you want to get rid of the detail lines, just remember, go to View, set your visual style to realistic, and it will remove those. But for now, I'm going to leave mine shaded with edges so that I can actually see where I've made those alterations. Next thing that we're going to do is create a 0.2 fillet for the two edges of the right side only. This is the right side. So I'm going to go to the fillet tool. We're going to set that to 0.20. And this is where you'll know if you really screwed up on the width measurement for the extrusion, because this usually will overlap if you did it wrong. It should look like this. So you hit OK, and you get those rounded edges there. Once you are done with that, it will look similar to this. So I'll zoom out so you can actually see it. Yours should look just like this one. And then we're going to go down here. We're going to put some chamfers on the other side. So again, we're going to rotate it so you can create the left side. And they're giving us a chamfer on the edges with a distance of 0.01. That's the middle option right here, 0.1 and an angle of 45. So we're going to use chamfer 0.1, and I believe it's set to 45. You can rotate this if you haven't already done so, and you're just going to click the face and then the edge. Same thing with this one and the edge, so that I can see it. I'm going to rotate a little bit. I can see that it's made my cuts in there. I'm going to hit OK. Rotate this back. So now I have those edges chamfered. It's not the only way that you can chamfer it, but that's probably the quickest way. So you should have something that looks like this. We're going to create a new sketch on the right side that is the rounded edge. So start a sketch over here. We are going to use the project geometry on this one so that we get the outline. Mine right now is showing up green because of my background settings and how I have this set up. Yours should look yellow like this. And I'm going to go ahead and place a circle that has a diameter of 0.17. So I need to find the center point, and I'm just going to place this. Doesn't really matter where, 0.17. Got my circle, and now I'm going to use the dimension tool to get it to the correct position. So it's 0.250 down from the top and 0.30 away from this edge. So I'm going to double check that the center is 0.350, or no, I'm sorry, 0.30 from here, or 0.3. And this one should be from here 0.250, which it is already set at. Once you have that, put a hole all the way through so that it matches. Once you put the hole all the way through, let me scroll back down so you can see it. It will look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my sketch. Extrude this down. Make sure I cut out that section. Again, cut. You can change it to all if you want. The distance is far enough, so I'm just going to hit OK. And now I have that hole cut out on this one. I would set this one before you save it. It doesn't tell you to, but I would go ahead and make this one aluminum. And you don't have to change it to polished. You could leave it flat. You could even change it to stainless steel if you want. Aluminum is going to be a little more shiny. So I'll just change this one to aluminum, leave it flat. And then I'm going to, again, save this one as, I believe they have this one saved as arm. So go ahead, save it as arm. Or pizza arm. It doesn't really matter. And then you are finished with that part.